Okay, Wednesday, 22nd of July, 2026. So Adrian's daily vlog, sharing smart stuff men should know. Bitcoin is the first peaceful Trojan horse for sovereignty since the printing press. So Bitcoin is a powerful tool for sovereignty with regards to its first principles and utilizing and using Bitcoin. With regard, its first principles being money you can own, money you can spend, apolitical, decentralized, fixed supply, and censorship resistant. Those kind of attributes of Bitcoin gives you sovereignty. Means it gives you, we could say in a fancy way, immunity. It keeps you one layer separated from a lot of aspects of the world, meaning those risk factors out there, let's say with banks or governments or whatever else, you're more immune to it. Strong word, but nonetheless. That's what those first principles results in. And understand also that Bitcoin fundamentally is maths, physics and code. Open source code, mathematics and physics with regards to the proof of work mechanism. But let's keep going. So, Bitcoin is a peaceful Trojan horse, a non-violent, opt-in technology that enters existing systems and subverts them from within. So, understand that with the game theory in Bitcoin, that the more people use it and adopt it, i.e. more education there is around it, and more people integrate it into their businesses and lives, the more people will end up doing so because they recognise that distinct advantage by not having it. And as there's a nice positive feedback loop as well with regards to Bitcoin, that the more you have, the more you're responsible, more you're encouraged, more you're willing to learn about it. Therefore, the more you learn, the more you realise this is a good idea, I'll have more of it. I'll have more, I'll study it more, I'll buy more, things like that. So you realise that actually, I did a video about this as well, that it becomes like a hungry hippo where everyone just wants Bitcoin and there's no limit to how many Bitcoin you can own. And it's opt-in, meaning it's completely your choice to enter or not. There is no compulsion. It's completely voluntary, which is powerful. Everything else out there is compelled. You have to use this particular currency in this particular place. But with Bitcoin, it's completely opt-in. That's powerful. It is the most significant sovereignty-enabling invention since the Gutenberg's printing press. Yes. Now, this kind of goes into the freedom of speech and the First Amendment kind of arguments, where code is speech, printing press and able to publish things online is freedom of speech, is First Amendment. So is ability to transact. In a very interesting, nuanced political, new law way, the ability to transact and buy things is freedom of speech. Expressing, that's voting with your dollars, really, you could say. That's important with regards to being sovereign, being individual, able to do with the money you please, without fear of subjugation, inquiry, halt, Caesar, things like that, being seized, things like that. That's powerful. While fiat systems, pounds, euros, dollars, rely on control and coercion, Bitcoin leverages code, consensus and voluntary adoption to dissolve centralized monetary empires. Okay, monetary systems, we could say, monetary infrastructures, things like that. That's powerful, because then people used to say in the Bitcoin space in 2020, 2021 that all your models are broken, and they basically are, you could say, because of Bitcoin's first principles, as we outlined just now. Everything changes, everything changes, it's happening, and it's changing really, and has changed over the past, wow, we could say 15 or so years now. The economic models, this is the debate for future historians really, 100 years from now, to say that was the inflection point. This is where the maths changed, so to speak. This is where the technology changed, things like that. So we could say, printing press broke the Catholic Church's monopoly on meaning, resulting in Reformation, Enlightenment, nation-state formation. Bitcoin breaks central banks' monopoly on value. That's quite profound. Resulting in monetary reformation, sovereign individual thesis, and network states. Now, network states are going to take a little bit longer to play out, because that kind of implies Lieberland. I did a video about this a couple of years ago as well. It kind of implies the relationship between individual and citizen and the state being changed irrevocably, forever, we could say that. But that's going to take a bit of time to play out. So then we could say, right, Opt-in Trojanism. Bitcoin asks for nothing. It's adopted voluntarily. Very nice. Trojan mechanism. Institutions adopt for innovation. Institutions adopt for innovation. Unwittingly import decentralization and exit paths. Now, I forgot her name now. And picture her face. There's a woman from the European Central Bank. Not Marie Le Pen, Marie Lagarde, I can't remember her name now. A couple of years ago, 2017, 18, 19, she described Bitcoin as an escape valve with regards to how she views it, meaning people can use it to opt out the system and go back to what I said earlier, sovereignty, be more one step removed from the consequences of what was that word being used here? Value, of monopoly on value, that. Because understand that through the first principles of the world we live in the banking system, of quantitative easing and beyond, that we have constant money printing. That is a constant. As long as that's a constant, and the money in your pocket, dollars, pounds, euros, etc., are being inflated away, as long as that is true in a binary sense, yes or no, is it true? Are they being printed? Are more of them being printed? Yes. Therefore, Bitcoin and Bitcoin's use case still stands, meaning it can't go to zero. It won't go to zero because the incentive structure is still there, meaning because pounds, euros, dollars are inflationary, losing purchasing power over time, that means as people understand Bitcoin's value, its first principles, education, they understand its deflationary natures and increasing in purchasing power. This goes into that meme in the space that people talk about where Bitcoin is number go up technology, meaning the price only goes up because your pounds, euros, dollars, etc. go down in value. And there's an old meme by Max Kaiser that said Bitcoin has no top because fiat has no bottom. Bitcoin has no upper limit, there's no upper bound to how high the price can go, because there's no limit to how many pounds, euros, dollars can come into existence, how many can be printed. This goes into what we talked about earlier with regards to Bitcoin's fixed supply of 21 million. So unwittingly importing decentralization and exit paths. Interesting. So from curiosity to protocol shift, the adoption journey starts with curiosity. What is Bitcoin? Speculation. Can I make money? Study. How does it work? Sovereignty. How does fiat exist? Or why does fiat exist even? Protocol thinking. What else is broken? And this kind of goes into the mantra in Bitcoin space that says, fix the money, fix the world. Where you fix the money, which is one side of every single transaction, you end up fixing the incentive structure, everything, the market, housing market, the food pyramid. You fix infrastructure. You amend all these things because now you have a strong currency that can't be printed. So you have to be wiser and smarter about it. The political solution to everything is not then print more money, borrow more money. The political solution is then how can we be more efficient? This goes into how the state can be managed if on a Bitcoin standard, or really when we could say, because then they can't print Bitcoin and Satoshis out of nowhere. They have to be fiscally responsible. As they are fiscally responsible, they're going to manage things better because there's only a limited number of Satoshis they can have, and a limited number they have. And because of Bitcoin's first principles, money you can earn, money you can spend, you could then say that taxation will be on a voluntary basis, hence affecting the relationship between citizen and state, because people can't just garner and take Satoshis from people's bank accounts, from people's wallets, so to speak, because that's not how Bitcoin works on a first principles basis with regards to the code and again with the mathematics. It doesn't work that way. You have to voluntarily persuade people to send you their Satoshis. Therefore, taxation will have to be rethought. Hence what I said earlier with regards to all the models are broken. Yes, you fix the money, you fix the world, and Bitcoin is evident of that. Bitcoin's going to change the housing markets. It'll make so many things more affordable. It'll make devices and clothing, whatever else, affordable. One Bitcoin buys you more things. And that's a mathematical fact. We can point to a chart and just say one Bitcoin buys you more things over time. Again, deflationary. So Bitcoin begins as a financial curiosity, evolves into a philosophical reckoning, and ends as a governance technology. Bitcoin begins as a financial curiosity, evolves into a philosophical reckoning, and ends as a governance technology. That's powerful. Central banks embrace Bitcoin, which strengthens Bitcoin legitimacy. And we could say really as everyone embraces it and acknowledges the technology and puts it on their balance sheet or buys things like STRC and SA and SATA or whatever else, they embrace these technologies in some fashion. even at a first or second order consequence, they are embracing and strengthening the Bitcoin network, the Bitcoin use case, the Bitcoin everything. There's an interesting mantra also in the space that says everything's good for Bitcoin. It's a little bombastic, but when you look at the logic and you follow the consequences and the logical sequence, you follow the logic, follow the maths, you realize that actually everything indeed is good for Bitcoin. It either strengthens the network, pushes it forward, or embraces it in some fashion. Because I understand that fundamentally also the Bitcoin network is anti-fragile. Wall Street financializes it, spreads the Trojan deeper, as I just said. You embrace it, you buy all these assets, more people will start to use it more and more, and as people use it, have more exposure to it, they're incentivized to study it more, and thus the cycle continues, and the cycle gets stronger and stronger and wilder and wilder and bigger and bigger. Right, okay. Governments consider CBDCs. Bitcoin becomes benchmark for freedom. That's interesting. That kind of goes into the relation between the people and state again. Each attempt to control or mimic Bitcoin deepens its strategic advantage. Every wallet is a micro-rebellion. That's a bit poetic, but nonetheless. Portable sovereignty. Okay. The horse has no centre. It clones itself into every device, jurisdiction and psyche. So a lot of people, and this was a big conversation about 10 or so years ago, said that with Bitcoin you can just, how is Bitcoin different from all the rest of them? Coke and Pepsi, so to speak. Well, you can copy and paste the code, it's open source code, but you can't copy and paste the network, the trust, the reputation, the reliability, the time, things like that. And more people are coming to realise that it's Bitcoin only. There's a nice little graph and meme that talks about how time and, no, what was it now? I can't remember. Your portfolio starts with Bitcoin only, goes into other things, and Bitcoin back into Bitcoin only. And that is a common path and trend everyone goes through. And I kind of went through that and completed it, and you could say November 2021. So yes, a lot of things changed since then. Bitcoin versus ontological trojanism. Now that's a very fancy word actually, ontological trojanism. Bitcoin doesn't change what money is. No, we could say. It changes what truth, time, trust and ownership mean. It doesn't change money per se, it changes how we understand money. Because we could go deeper to say that because we are so used to fiat and fiatery and fiat chicanery over 100 years, let's say, we're so used to that. Anything else, anything other than that, we're not used to it. Like in the same way, a fish, what is water? It just is. We just take it for granted. It's so ingrained in the frame of the epoch, in the societies we live in. Anything other than that is just outlandish, not taken, what's the opposite, taken for granted, just absurd, because we're not used to it. So it changes what truth, time, trust and ownership mean. Trust shifted from humans to code. Time anchored in proof of work history. Trust made probabilistic but immutable, or truth. It forces ontological humility. Ooh, interesting. We were wrong about money and therefore about politics, risks, sovereignty. Interesting. I mean, that's a whole other conversation as well. Bitcoin, a non-violent revolution. No protests, no blood, no marches. It's just a non-violent technology, opt-in only. Just code, adoption and memes. Yes, the memes are worth their weight in gold. Or we could say nowadays that worth their weight in Bitcoin. It upgrades the monetary operating software without toppling the hardware violently. Meaning, we don't need, it's that mantra really, the revolution will not be televised. It's to say, we don't need to change the infrastructure of the world physically, we just change it here. And through our actions, by voting with our dollars, things like that. You win by not confrontation. Oh, you win not by confrontation, but by defection. So people are also integrating it gently into the backgrounds of business and governments and politics. It's happening. And it's already in motion. Bitcoin memes and weapons. I did a few videos actually about myths and memes. Bitcoin teaches sovereign individuals. Self-custody, radical responsibility. Irreversibility, consequences matter. Decentralization, participation is power. Each user becomes a node of sovereignty, not just financially but cognitively. Hence why you can't copy the network of Bitcoin. You've got all these nodes and the node runners. You can't just copy all that space. And you can't incentivize them easily because it's so ingrained in reputation and things like that. It's difficult. Nations must choose integrate sovereignty and lead, or resist sovereignty and collapse. Little bombastic, but essentially we could say adopt Bitcoin or risk being left behind. In the same way, adopt gunpowder, adopt steel, adopt electricity, or get left behind. So then we could say the final thing to mention is the printing press set the soul free. Bitcoin sets the balance sheet free. Both are Trojan horses, both change the world. One attacked dogma, the other dismantles monetary tyranny without a single shot fired. So then we can say here, sets the balance sheet free. So that kind of goes and alludes to going into a Bitcoin standard. As you start valuing and pricing things in Bitcoin, everything gets cheaper. Everything in the world gets cheaper. One Bitcoin buys you more things over time. Again, it's deflationary. As long as it's deflationary, as long as fiat and all that is inflationary by default, that's the key word there, and Bitcoin wins. Bitcoin is winning. Bitcoin has won. It's just becoming more and more clear. So it sets your balance sheet free, because then you haven't got to do anything to increase your wealth. All you have to do is just hold on to Bitcoin, and as the rest of the world, we could say here, inflates away, think of the money as like an ocean. As the ocean is rising, you're staying up, you're staying afloat no matter what. You're keeping your head above water, metaphorically speaking, because you're staying afloat in all that inflation, all that monetary ocean expansion, so to speak. So your balance sheet is your balance sheet is then, you don't have to worry about your balance sheet keeping up with inflation, because it's beating it over time. Over time is the key word there. So therefore, you don't have to dedicate time, energy, momentum to understand markets or understand nuances of finances and fiscal policy and whatever else, and interest rates, whatever else, because you have an asset that by default is inflation proof. It's beating inflation, and you're winning with it. You're winning. That's why I think at a deeper level that Bitcoiners have already won. Today, right now, have already won. It's just over time it'll be increasingly obvious, and over time it'll be blindingly obvious that is the truth, that is correct. It's just we've already won, financially speaking. That's it. You can inflate and print all you want. I've already won. Yeah, you can have all the socialist and communist policies all you want. I've won, and that's going to increase the inflation, increase the money supply, and all this stuff. I've won. You declare as many wars as you want and as many social projects as you want. By inflation, by debt, quantitative easing, or by borrowing, by money printing, I've won. Powerful stuff. But nonetheless, otherwise, Adrian's daily vlog, sharing smart stuff men should know. Subscribe for more, and you will see me tomorrow.